Hello everyone and welcome to the official patch notes for Wild Rift patch 6.1a, the first balanced patch of the 6.1 cycle. We got some buffs and some nerfs in this patch, but more importantly, we have a huge nerf to junglers and a huge nerf to Smite as a summoner spell, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, but you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for that one. But you might be wondering why the patch notes being released on a Tuesday and not a Wednesday. Don't worry, this patch will still be released on Thursday this week. It's just I got the patch notes and the embargoes lifting a day earlier because I think there's like a holiday or something tomorrow I got mentioned. I'm not really too sure, but anyway, I get to talk to you guys about the patch notes a little bit earlier, and maybe we can prepare for patch 6.1a. So let's go straight into it. So the first thing we have is the new champion Nocturne. Nocturne will be releasing on May 16th, which is roughly 2 weeks away. Roughly just over 2 weeks away. Nocturne in general, I'm pretty excited for Nocturne. I'm also very worried at the same time because with the more recent releases like Poppy and even Rise recently, both of these champions have been very, very powerful. I think Nocturne, if he gets to build like an assassin, we've seen already like champions like Wukong and Lee Sin build more damage and build more as an assassin with things like First Strike. If Nocturne can go towards that same build path, then I think he'll be very, very strong. However, if we need to play a more bruiser orientated Nocturne build, then don't really think he's going to be that strong. So it's all about really if Nocturne can one shot or not, really, with his ultimate. If he can't, then I don't think it's going to be very useful, but I'm pretty excited for him anyway. New jungler coming into the Rift. We'll have to definitely test out his like jungle clear speed and what he's going to be like when he comes onto the Rift. So pretty excited for Nocturne again in 2 weeks time. New game modes with ARAM coming back. Well, not ARAM coming back, but new ARAM or Hextech ARAM coming back. Arena coming back as well, and also all random Earth. So some fun game modes to play there if you want to head on down and check out the game modes. But now on to the important part with the champion changes. Sion has been struggling a lot recently. I think that ever since really Hullbreaker has been removed, and also they kind of changed how the whole inting Sion worked in a way. Sometimes it does work. I do see in some of my games that sometimes it can work, this not really, I wouldn't say inting Sion strategy, but more of this split push Sion that you can just go into the side lane, just keep pushing and not really care about your deaths or anything like that. I've seen it work in a few games. It doesn't work as well as what it did before. But with that, and obviously with Sion in general receiving a bunch of nerfs before with how the balance was in terms of the matchmaking and everything else, they nerfed Sion a few times. They got rid of Hullbreaker, and then Sion's just become pretty weak. That's pretty much what's happened. So the buff in the passive, the damage of the base damage during Sion's passive has gone up based on his maximum health. And also the second ability has been lowered in cooldown, and the bonus shield value has also gone up with maximum health. This will help a little bit in terms of survivability, especially with the second ability during laning phase. Might help a little bit with trading as well. Passive, I don't think will make too much of a difference, to be honest with you. I don't think this change will really do too much, but the second ability buff is quite nice. Cooldown go down by 1 second. The second ability shield going up by 3% at maximum rank. So this buff is quite nice. Personally, I think the passive won't really do too much. Overall, I don't think this will do anything to Sion, to be honest with you. I still think Sion will sit in the same boat. I think with so many bruisers being so powerful right now in the top lane and other tanks just being stronger, being able to offer more than a Sion, then I still think he's going to really sit in that spot and probably needs a few more buffs to boost his power in the mid and the late game. Garen, now this is not the rework that is coming out, which is kind of surprising, to be fair. I thought they were going to delay Garen's buffs or delay Garen's power to when the rework comes out later on in patch 6.1, but they realized how weak he is already. So they're actually giving a pretty big buff to Judgment. The base damage per on hits is going up by 3 at every single rank, which is really, really huge. In Wild Rift, this is actually the ability that you max first because you can clear waves super quickly, which obviously this is going to help with that now as well, because the base damage is going up per on hit. So every single time he spins, per on hit, it's going to do more damage. And then this is also going to increase the bonus crit damage that you can deal when you're at maximum range with your third ability. So this overall is a really, really nice buff. I'm very curious to see what this buff is going to do with Garen. Again, as I mentioned, his wave clear is going to be a lot quicker. His trading might be a little bit better now as well. The only problem with Garen is that he doesn't really have a lot of access to the backline, whereas other bruisers have. We talk about champions like Wukong, champions like Jax, champions like Ornn. All these champions can get access to the backline really easy, whereas Garen just has to run in a straight line and just hope for the best. And if you get CC'd, well, then you're screwed, basically. And that's kind of difference between champions like Garen right now and other bruisers like Jax and Wukong, for example. Leona, I think this is probably the scariest buff of this patch. I think Leona was already a decent tank to play. There are probably better tanks to play, but this buff is very, very scary. And I think this might put Leona in a very strong spot in the next patch. So the Eclipse, the second ability, is always the ability that you max first because you gain so much armor, so much magic resist, and also the base damage is very high. All three of them are getting buffed. So the armor being granted is going up by 20 at maximum rank and by 5 at early levels. So 5, 10, 15, and 20. And it still scales with 20% of your bonus armor. The magic resist is also going up by 5, 10, 15, and 20. Again, these are all base values. So just it's going to give you a crazy amount of armor and magic resist throughout the game. Like a crazy amount. And also, for some reason, they're just allowing you to deal more base damage as well. The base damage is also going up by 20 at every single rank as well. And what you normally do with Leona is use your second ability before you jump in with your third ability or even use your ultimate. And then when you jump on the enemy champions with your third ability and you CC them, you're always going to be guaranteed to hit and deal the base damage of Eclipse. So you're not only going to be tanking so much more damage now with Leona because of the buffs to the armor and magic resist, but you're also going to be doing a crazy amount of base damage as well. As I mentioned, I think Leona is going to be a very, very strong, very scary tank to play in the next patch. So I think this is probably I would say the biggest change in terms of champion changes in these patch notes. So really, really nice buff here to Leona. Wukong, I think they've completely missed the mark with Wukong. I don't think his sustain is a problem at all during the laning phase. I think if you really want to talk about sustain, you need to nerf fucking second winds. Like, second wind is the main problem right now. Why some of these top lane bruisers are so powerful and why they can walk forward, they can do a bunch of damage and they can walk away really, really easily and just heal up to 4 HP for nothing. It's nothing to do with Wukong's stone skin, which might give him a little bit, but I mean, look at this, like 0.5% maximum health per second. That's not gonna do anything. I would reducing it by 0.15. This does absolutely nothing at all. He's still going to build second wind. He's still going to go second wind. He's still going to heal a bunch of HP out of combat anyway, so that doesn't really do anything. And for some reason, they're nerfing the third ability damage and not the first ability damage. The main power of Wukong right now in laning phase is he's super easy to play, and you have your first ability, which does a stupid amount of damage. On top of that, with Grasping Undying as well. So you're getting bonus damage, you're getting healing, you're getting, which is also sustained, by the way, and you're getting bonus health as well. Like, this is not the problem with Wukong. There's the base damage on the third ability, which also they're only reducing by 10 anyway. So Wukong, in my opinion, is still going to be the best top laner to play. I don't think this does anything at all. Grasping Undying didn't get changed. The first ability didn't get changed or nerfed at all. You're still going to one-shot basically any bruiser in the top lane, and he's still going to be easy to play. So I don't think this changes anything at all. And like I said, in my opinion, they've completely missed the mark with the nerfs in with Wukong. Victor, on the other hand, I think they hit the right spots in terms of the nerfs. The first ability, third ability, definitely the two of the most powerful tools for Victor. Obviously, the first ability, when comboed with Fleet Footwork, you have the double auto attack, you do a crazy amount of damage, and also the scaling of both the first ability and the third ability with the upgraded versions, the ability on top of that, just make them so powerful. So the first ability, the damage of the next basic attack is going down, the base damage is going down, and also the scaling ability power is going down. So again, the scaling being hit is really, really nice. And then the third ability, the first damage and also the damage of the second phase. Again, both of them, the base damage is staying the same, but the ability power ratio is going down. I think it's the same with this as well. Yeah, base damage is staying the same, but ability power ratio going down. So as I mentioned, it's more nerfing the scaling of Victor. Victor's one of the best scaling mid laners right now with champions like Syndra as well. You just farm in lane, you wait until you can upgrade your abilities with Victor and also Syndra. When you upgrade your abilities, once you get 2 or 3 items, you become pretty much untouchable as a mage and you do a crazy amount of damage. So Even though with Wukong, I didn't agree with the nerf, I do agree with the nerf with Victor, and I think these nerfs are going to be very warranted. Severe is kind of a weird champion that doesn't really have a lot of carry potential in solo queue, but I think her easiness of play and also how she can just sit back and just use ricochet in team fights and just bounce to so many different targets, and also you can just clear waves super easily. I understand why they nerfed Ricochet. I think Ricochet is one of the biggest problems right now with Severe. I do think they nerfed it by quite a bit, to be fair. They nerfed it by 4 base damage and also like 2% of the attack damage as well, which is pretty crazy. I mean, 2% every single rank as well. I mean, like I said, all you basically do with Severe laning phase, you walk up to the lane, you press your second ability, and you just auto attack the first minion. And then the Ricochet bounces around, hits enemy champions, hits the minion wave, and you just clear the wave instantly. You use your first ability on the minion wave, and the minion wave's gone. You can just clear the wave for free, and then you're never put under any threat. You're never going to get ganked. You're never put under any threat. And then when you get into team fights, when you get like 3 or 4 items, again, you just do the same thing. Instead of minions this time, you just use it on champions. You just auto attack the first champion in front of you, and the Ricochet just does a crazy amount of damage when it bounces around, especially when it crits as well. So again, I'm not surprised that they're nerfing Ricochet. Severe's one of them champions that, again, isn't maybe as strong in terms of solo queue, but was just so easy to play and so easy to master that, you know, they needed to nerf something with her, which is quite nice. Blitzcrank's a weird one. I mean, base health is, I think is fine nerfing, to be fair. Maybe his laning phase was a bit too easy. I think he was very difficult to poke out of lane as well. I mean, if you think of the HP, they're nerfing the HP by 60, which is a lot. 60 base HP, I think a lot of people would underrate how much HP this is in the early game. I mean, I guess it was very difficult to try and poke Blitzcrank out of lane. I mean, Blitzcrank is one of the best champions that you pick against these enchanters like Lulu and Seraphine. And the only time that really these enchanters can get an advantage over Blitzcrank is during the laning phase and trying to zone him out at like level 1, for example. Try and zone him out on his cooldown. So when he has his hook on cooldown, you can walk up, you can zone them away. At the moment, you can't really do that because Blitzcrank just stands in front of you and tanks all the damage. So I kind of like this. Rocket Grab, sorry, damage being nerfed is kind of okay, I guess. I do think Blitzcrank's damage is pretty nuts. But I think the main damage actually comes from the ultimate, especially with the silence on top of that as well. Obviously, the Rocket Grab comes into that as well. But if you think that Blitzcrank at the moment uses 2 of the best items in the game, Yordle Trap and Zeke's Convergence. On top of that, you can build like Frozen Heart, Warmorgs. Like, there are so many good items that you can build right now on Blitzcrank. And this just makes him even powerful in general. I still think Blitzcrank is going to be very good against Enchanter supports. Maybe not against tank supports, because he's going to struggle with this now. Like, this actually nerfs him quite a bit with tank supports. So tank supports can actually trade against him now and actually do a decent amount of damage. Plus, your AD carries can walk up and auto attack as well, and you don't feel like you're tickling Blitzcrank in the early game. So I kind of like the base health nerf more than the Rocket Grab. I don't think this is going to do too much. Again, I probably think they should nerf the ultimate damage, but that's just me. And this is probably the weirdest nerf of the whole patch. I don't know what's going on with this. Honestly, I have not seen a single person play Jinx for the past probably 2 or 3 seasons, I would say. I mean, the only time Jinx really gets chosen if there's like a bunch of tanks on the other team and you have like a Lulu or someone like that by your side. I've never known that Jinx's early game is, I mean, the only way that Jinx's early game is powerful is that obviously her rockets have one of the longest attack ranges in the game. So you have that, you know, extra rocket in terms of damage, but most people don't really know how to balance around the mana pool of the rockets and also balance around when you should use a minigun and when you should use a rocket form. This nerf is very weird. I don't think she needed this nerf at all. If anything, you just buff the third ability and you just leave the base attack damage as it is. This, in my opinion, is a winner. Maybe I could be wrong. I mean, maybe Jinx is really powerful right now and I'm really underrating her, but I don't think she needed this early game nerf, in my opinion. But that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. And then Flame Trumper's getting buffed by 1 second every single rank just helps a bit with her survivability. On to the biggest change of this patch, and this has been, in my opinion, a long time coming. I think this is a start. I don't think this actually does enough to nerf junglers, and I think junglers will still be fine in my opinion. But this is a big nerf to AFK farm junglers, and junglers that just want to farm until they're 3 items, they never gank, and they never do anything else at all. So at the moment, basically, what happens is that you have a champion like Nilah, Shyvana, or Kayle that basically just farms through the jungle until they get 3 items. Once they get 3 items, they come into team fights and they start to do a bunch of damage. The main reason they can do this is because every single jungler throughout the game, you gain 20% bonus gold and you get 20% bonus experience from clearing jungle camps. Now, and also on top of that as well, you also have bonus basic attacks. You get bonus 50% basic attack damage on monsters, and also you get the bonus 15% ability damage to monsters as well. Note that they're only changing the attack damage version of this. Again, more focused towards like Nilah and Kayle, for example, even though Kayle is an AP champion, but the auto attacks are more important to clear jungle camps, and also Shyvana as well. But this is mainly focused in Nilah jungle right now, because Nilah at the moment, as I mentioned, you can just farm up 3 items and the game is just unwinnable. So basically what they're doing is they are slowing down the mid lane scaling of these champions and slowing down how much they can farm and how much gold they can get from farming jungle camps, which means that they're going to need to get gold now elsewhere. You can't just AFK farm through the jungle and hope you get 3 items. If you do that, then your 3 item power spike is going to get delayed, and then at some point you might be really far behind and you might not be able to have the gold to carry your team. So let's talk about what they're doing. So at the moment, throughout the whole game, as I just mentioned, you get bonus 15% basic attack damage and ability damage to monsters. The ability damage is staying the same, so it doesn't really nerf AP junglers at all. It only nerfs the basic attack damage. So starting at 2 minutes, the bonus damage decays by 1% every 12 seconds. And at 5 minutes, the bonus is fully removed. So at 5 minutes into the game, champions will no longer be getting 15% basic attack damage to monsters. Again, this is a really, really big nerf to clearing jungle camps, to clearing everything as well, like just jungle clear in general. 15% base attack damage was already quite a lot, to be fair. Bonus 15% throughout the whole game. I mean, with some champions, you could just one-shot jungle camps, and it was so easy to just fully clear your jungle. Now, jungle is going to have to spend more time to clear through their jungle, and also they're going to have to get gold elsewhere as well, because starting at 7.5 minutes, junglers will no longer receive 20% bonus gold from taking down monsters. So before 7.5 minutes, you'll still get the bonus gold, but after that, you will not. You will still get the 20% bonus experience. So the experience you'll still get throughout the whole game, but the bonus gold after 7.5 minutes, which is in between the first and second dragon spawn, you'll no longer get the bonus gold, which, as I said, you're going to have to try and get this bonus gold from elsewhere now. So like I said, this is a big nerf to junglers that just wants to farm through the jungle. They want to wait until, like, normally they'd farm until, like, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes into the game, like Nilah jungle, for example. You just farm to that point, and then 3 items, you're unkillable. And the reason why it works so well is because these champions like Kayle and Nilah get absolutely bullied during the laning phase. Like, you cannot play these champions most of the time during laning phase. You get absolutely bullied. So what works is, because Wild Rift is a game that the auto attacks have AoE damage, the auto attacks allow these junglers to be very, very good, like Nilah, for example, and also just Kayle in general, because the jungle camps are so weak, and you can just clear through the jungle, and you're never going to get focused by any sort of invades or anything like that. You can just farm through, get to 3 items, and these late game scaling champions don't have to worry about the early game, because all they do is just farm through the jungle, and they just have a nice day. So yeah, I think there's going to be a big shift in terms of jungle. I do think that they need to still nerf a few more things. This starting at 2 minutes is kind of still annoying. So basically what happens is that most junglers clear the jungle at around 130, 140. I would say some jungle camps would be, some jungle full clears will be a little bit faster or a little bit slower, but the average time is around 1 minute 30, 1 minute 40. So you're still going to be able to get level 5 before anyone else in the jungle. And that's what's really powerful right now in the jungle. You can go from top side to bot side on jungle or vice versa, and you can clear through the whole jungle in 1 minute 30, 1 minute 40, and you'll get level 5. And that includes the scuttle crab as well, which most of the time you'll be able to get anyway, unless you're contested and then a fight happens. That might happen. But most of the time, you'll be able to clear through the jungle and clear the scuttle crab in, let's say, 2 minutes, and you'll be level 5 before anyone else. Your dual lane will only be level 3. So you're ganking lanes, and your solo laners will only be level 4. You're ganking lanes with your ultimate as a jungler, and the dual lane is level 3. They can't do anything at all. Your mid lane is a level 4. So you're ganking with your ultimate, and everyone else in the game doesn't even have their ultimate yet. And that's, in my opinion, what's really powerful right now with junglers. And then from that, they can snowball, they can tower dive, they can get a huge advantage in lanes. In that time that the dual lanes and the mid laners and the top laners don't have level 5 yet. That's what's really powerful, in my opinion. But like I said, I think this is a great step in the right direction. This definitely helps in terms of trying to get more people to gank more often and be more proactive in the game, rather than just AFK farming through the jungle and be like, oh, look at me, I'm getting bonus gold and bonus experience just by clearing through to my jungle camps, going back to base, recall. Clear my jungle camps, go back to base and recall. That's basically what Neela jungle does at the moment. Never ganks and just keeps on just getting gold through that. And again, because invading is not really a thing in Wild Rift, because the map is so small and people can rotate very easy and people are worried to invade, then they just farm for free until they get through items. But yeah, I would love to know all your thoughts on this change. I think this is a change that, in my opinion, has been a long time coming. Also, I forgot to mention, they're also removing the gold penalty on lane minions as well. So you can now get 100% of the experience and gold from lane minions as a jungle. So that's kind of the compensation for that, I guess, in a way. So don't be surprised if a jungler comes up to your lane now and smites away your cannon creep. That might happen. I mean, that'll probably happen to me, most likely, because that always happens to me. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are of these changes. I'm really curious to think what the whole community thinks about like junglers in general. Obviously, jungle has been the strongest role throughout the entire existence, really, of Wild Rift, to be fair. So it's nice that there are some nerfs finally coming in for junglers, and maybe this will hurt their scaling a little bit. So pretty excited to see how that works. And then underneath that is just the skins as well. Overall, a decent patch. I think this is by far the biggest change of the whole patch. The buffs are very nice. In my opinion, most of the nerfs have not really hit what needed to be hit. We'll have to see. Pretty small patch in general, which I'm quite surprised. Again, I don't need to mention it. No nerfs to Corki, no real nerfs to Wukong, no nerfs to Rise. There are so many champions that are going to be broken still. No nerfs to Lucidity Boots and Seraphine being very strong at the moment. There are so many things that are still powerful in the game that's just not being nerfed, which is kind of surprising to me. But in general, a pretty decent patch. We'll have to see how this goes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as always. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.